I should start recording. Just so I have something to show people, and then I don't have to make a video and get creative with a subject. I can just provide them with sound bites of me talking. Lisa, I've jumped the shark.
No.
Not
You
yet.
don't have to. You don't have to do that right now. Don't do it.
Good, because I can't swim. Like, I bet Fonzie, at least he could swim. I'm afraid of sharks, but I'm afraid of water. I don't even wear real leather. I make a terrible Fonzie. The only thing we have in common is our fallback, on our like stereotypical behavior of just like, every episode is gonna say A. Like I'm gonna say something really weird. Everything I say weird is like my A. And our jackets are the same structure, well, not the same material. And we comb our hair a lot. But his hair is known for being perfect. My hair at most is known for being combed. And that's on a good day. I comb my hair more as like a ritual, which harkens back to the symptoms. I don't think I have any personality, frankly.
What?
Whenever I want to assess my personality, what I do is I think of younger me. But I can only think of younger me for so long because I was such a weirdo. Like, do you ever look back on yourself and you're like, God, I was weird. How did I have any friends?
I don't know.
Well, okay, everything I feel is exaggerated. So do you ever look back on yourself and think, why?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I have to assess that person because that's the me that wasn't sick. That was me that hadn't gone through anything. That's like the baseline me. But at the same time, I was really immature. So all my assessments are going to be an assessment of somebody who's like 9. But, I mean, I guess you get your personality around like 4 or 5, right? Like that ingrained personality that everybody has. I think it's an actual thing, like in psychology. Probably another Freudian thing, because it has to do with when you're a kid. But yeah, I guess I would have to look at my earliest years and then look for like common denominators, but in life.
Oh, you're funny.
Yeah, I'm funny, but the thing about being funny is I'm not funny. I'm just serious and I have a very funny inflection. So everybody thinks I'm laughing and joking, and that's true. That's how it was even in Miss Hooper's class. People wouldn't stop laughing, and I'm like, "Oh, you're laughing. You're so funny." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm dead serious." That would make them laugh more. I'm like, "Oh, stop it. My life is painful." And it's like, oh. But eventually I would just like surrender to the laughter because I wasn't like depressed. I would just laugh at the situation. But I guess that's sort of always been how things have been. Like I don't know, I guess I've always been funny, I guess. Me and Eddie, we were like the funny ones. Looking back, right? We were funny and we were sporty. If you had to assess me without trying to like get in on anything psychological, that's how you would have to say it. Funny and sporty. Could you really say anything else? You'd either be superfluous or psychological. Anything else?
You're very, what's it called?
I'm very, what's it called?
No, I'm trying to find the word for it.
Honestly, I couldn't have said it myself. I don't have time to learn German and find the obscure word that you're looking for. But I know what you're saying. Because you speak Amani.
I meant that you don't like people worrying about you.
What? Like I don't like myself.
No, people worrying about you.
Like, when people worry about me, I'm like, don't worry about me. Or when people, like, want to be my friend, I'm like, don't be my friend. Like, that kind of thing. It's because I don't like myself. And I'm giving myself the advice I would give myself if I wanted to be my friend. I'm like, don't go near her. And I know that sounds like reverse psychology, like, go near her. No. It's like, don't. I know you might watch a lot of movies, and you think people like that are kind of cool, but they're gonna ruin your life, and then you're gonna be like, oh, they ruined your life, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, I tried to tell you. And you're gonna be like, yeah, I know, but I didn't think you really meant it. Like, ruined my life. Like, my friend Peter, he's been my friend since I was 19. It's like he one day he even said so when we were talking on the phone. He was like, I don't know what my problem is. I must be some sort of, like, masochistic person. Because he stated me, 19 is when I was, like, at my worst. 19 was when I was Eddie. Except there was no Eddie yet. Because if you wanted to sum up my personality, I was the Eddie before Eddie.
Yes. Yes.
I'm the Eddie origin story.
Are you already sleeping?
No, she's making a YouTube video with me.
What?
Yeah. He's making what?
She's making a YouTube video with me.
Okay. Please don't forget to sign that paper. It's
Yeah.
critical. Okay?
I forgot about the paper. I forgot I had a father.
I'll get it.
Don't forget, it has to do with us being able to get out of this house. It's very important.
Well,
that
then
we submit it.
I'll be all over that. I gotta get out of this house. That's like my goal every day.
Yeah, but when signing that paper is like 2 seconds.
Yeah, but I forgot how to sign my name. But when it comes back to me, I'll sign it. It's in my lap, I think. Is it?
It's on the bed near your pillow, don't worry.
Oh, it's next to me, see? But I have it. And I'll sign it.
Don't worry, just go to sleep. I'll get it to you in the morning.
You're like the stoner guy. What's his name?
What?
The guy. Of course you don't know his name because you weren't in the hospital, but I just told you about him. The guy who's always high.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm not even going to say your name because you might watch this video. And then he's gonna be like, oh no. She's talking about me. It's gonna be one of those rare moments where he looks up and he's like, oh. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna be like, I have a YouTube video, you should check me out. I mentioned you already. And then he'll have to check it out because he'll be curious because Loki, he's kind of like me, but he doesn't want to admit it because you don't want to admit you're like the patients because that's like the warden admitting you're like the prisoners. It's just opening the floodgates. So he just says nothing. And it's like, all the other nurses are talking, aren't you talking? Is it because you're relatable?
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff I say, and he just looks at me and he's like, I'm like, I've lived with Ziza long enough to know what a look like that means. It means that there are things you want to say, but you're just not going to say them. Because it's like, it's not worth the energy. But it's like, oh, it is. You guys turned off the TV, so this is my only other source of entertainment. So it is worth the energy for me. Like, this is my entertainment. Like, he gets to use the computer. Which, I mean, he's probably not playing. What do you play on the computer now?
What?
What do you play on the computer these days? You don't play Candy Crush.
You play, like, Flash games.
What? Virtual Villagers? Puzzle
Mhm.
Pirates?
I was gonna
Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on a Sega emulator? Da 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 da
That's not
da
even a
da
Flash
da
game.
da da. Yeah, but that's the kind of stuff I'd say, and he'd be like, I'm just checking I'm checking your medications and stuff, and like after like saying stuff for a long time, he would say something like that. He's like you, but with a beard, and always stoned. I was like, it's too late, you're always stoned. Because he said he stopped smoking, right? That's like, it's too late. You sound like more Stephen Hyde than Stephen Hyde. You're like Stephen Hyde cubed. Which would be funnier if you understood that I usually say people are something squared. So to be something cubed is to be something squared squared. But not really mathematically speaking. Because something squared, parentheses squared, would be completely different from something cubed. But I'm preaching to the choir. I'm teaching algebra to Einstein. I'm talking to a genius. Oh, I'm rambling to a genius. Aziza, have you seen this, seen this, seen this? Have you seen this genius?
What song is that?
Plankton said it while dancing.
Oh.
And I remember everything from SpongeBob ever, so occasionally I feel the silence that isn't really silence. And the reason I talk is because I hear voices and I'm trying to talk over them. No offense, guys, but like, since you're always talking and it's just easier to think when I'm saying my thoughts and I can hear them and they're louder than the other voices because they're not thoughts, they're voices. But have you ever tried thinking while somebody was also talking to you? And you know how it's harder than just like thinking something? Because you have to low-key listen to what they're saying, just in case they say something devastating or important or mean. So your mind is always a little ailleurs. Yeah, it's like that, except perpetual for me. I always hear voices all the time. All the time. It's not like movie all the time. It's like using the bathroom, taking a shower all the time. It's inconveniently all the time. It's, yeah, this is why it's a sickness and not something cool all the time. That's probably why I spoke to him so much, because I was like, you have that luxury. You got high all the time, and you probably did all this crazy stuff, but then when you were done, you were just done. And you knew it was over, and you're like, I'm gonna go become a doctor. I'm gonna be the anti-me. And then you went and gave drugs to people who needed them. And that was your new life. But with me, it's like, no matter what I do, there are always going to be voices in the background. They haven't even gotten quieter over the years. They haven't even gotten quiet when I take medication. It just becomes easier to deal with them. I was gonna give you an example as like, I was gonna say like a little sibling, but you are a little sibling. But it's kind of like having Philip and the baby, except they're kind of shackled to you, but not so close that you can feel them breathing on you, but close enough that they can hear you. So like a yard or 2 away, 2 yards away. Yeah. One is like a yard away and one is like 2 yards away. Because it's all the time. Except, luckily, they don't sound like the baby. That would be hell. I'd be like, this is it. I am Hitler. And this is my hell. That's the only explanation. If it was the baby's voice. But it's not. It's just voices that are insulting and stuff, which is better than the baby.
What? No.
No, the baby you can't say, oh yeah, well, or anything. He says da 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 da. It's like, yes, go on. How does that make you feel? Da 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 Ziza. I'm not Aziza. Daddy, I am not your daddy. The rarely uttered word, Mom. I'm not your mom. He's like, I give up. Da 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 da. Like if we were all computers, he would be whatever came before the iMac. He'd be an 80s computer.
Oh.
And you'd be like an iPad. And I'd be the iPod. Like, you'd be me spelt wrong, but better. Ultimately. wasn't talking about iPods. I was talking about something important.
You're talking about how hearing voices in your head is like having a small child like Philip and then
Ugh,
also...
let's not talk about that. That's really sad. I was talking about something a little less sad. Quasi sad. I was talking about Always Stoned.
You're... Yeah.
I'm trying to remember his name. That's why I'm dancing around the subject so much, because I'm trying to remember his name. I have to not think of it and then talk about something else and then be like, oh yeah, his name was... But no, you're right. I'm not going to say the name in the video. Oh, now's a good time to tell you that I'm recording. But yeah, I'm not going to say the name in this video just in case he watches it. He knows who he is, because he's the only nurse in an entire hospital that's always stoned. He's perma-stoned.
It's a word now.
Yeah, it's like certain people, I don't care if you stop smoking weed, you can tell certain people who smoked a lot of weed, like Snoop Dogg level, like, how can you afford this? You're in medical school level of weed, and then even after you stop, I don't know, guess because you were young, because he is young, he's like my age, it's sort of just become your affect, as they call it in psychology. Your affect is sort of like how you display yourself. It's hard to describe. I just know that one of the symptoms of schizophrenia is like a flat affect, and sometimes like it's like when you're talking but you sound really monotone and like kind of like you're dead inside, but because you are. Have I ever sounded like that? Because yeah, sometimes I'm like that. Like right now it's like the anti that, but that's again, that would be like my affect. It's more manic, or it's not hypomanic at this point. It's just manic, but that would be like my affect. And if it was a flat affect, it'd be like what it sounds like, flat. If people were surfaces, he'd be flat. Literally. Ooh, I should use that as an insult.
What?
Yeah, because the best insults are when I can say, boom, I didn't insult you, I just described you, and then drop the invisible mic.
Oh.
And you can't, like, fight back, because I said it kind of nicely with a nice tone, and it was more describing you than it was insulting you. Because the plot twist of me is that I'm actually a very, very mean person. It's like when Matt, for his birthday, got this really awesome bike.
Yeah.
And it was just the most perfect birthday ever. And his party was epic and everything. And he got a pair of socks first. And he was like, he had to feign like enthusiasm. Oh, yay, you guys always know what to get me. And as he was like sort of sad about it but trying to hide his tears, they brought out a bike from like in the room behind. His back was turned, and he just like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing ever, it's a bike. Because you know, Hillview, a bike, that's like getting a car. In Hillview, like, it's like now I can actually keep up with people and like hold a conversation with them because they're always moving. And he was so happy he got the bike, and that's like a really cute story, right? Well, the bike turned out to be like crap, and he was like, it was like 2 days later, I hate this crappy bike. And me back then, you shouldn't be swearing like that, even if the bike is bad. He's like, I don't like this bike. I was like, well, at least just call it like dirt or something. There's no need to use foul language. But it's a piece of crap. Okay, I have to go. Because we were still at our shut north phase. Or like close up, but never shut up, because that's a swear. But anyway, yeah, I was like, well, that was a really sour ending. I wasn't even there for that. He was saying that to Eddie, and Eddie was like, well, watch thine language, older brother. Haha, Matt is an elder to you. But Matt was just that kid in my class. But yeah, He was like, that's a really crappy bike. Yeah, all that story I told you, I'm that personified. I'm that entire situation. So when people first meet me, I'm actually pretty cool. And I seem cool because I am cool. But then when you get to know me, I'm just a really crappy bike.
Oh.
Well, you're my sister, so you were programmed with a chip to say that you love me even if you don't. You sorta do. Just because that's your default setting. Work lazy. So you were born in 2001. Everybody knows everybody born in the 21st century is a robot.
Oh.
They stopped making kids after Y2K.
So that's why I
Because you can't be born in a year that doesn't exist. Because after 1999, what year comes?
Wow.
It was the beginning of, like, what do you call that? What's the device when it's like the ending is just so lame?
Anticlimax?
Yeah, it was the beginning of a bunch of anticlimactic things. It really set the stage. It was like 0. What did you expect, honestly? We didn't go to Costco back then because it wasn't the 80s, but it definitely wasn't the 90s anymore. So you all went to, like, Shop and Save or something, and you stocked up a Costco amount of cans, and now to this day you're still paying for your mistake because the mistake was so expensive because 2000 was like such a scary thing that you went and spent your college tuition on canned beans, and now you live on a farm to this day because the economy isn't good, but it's still going. Like, America still exists and stuff, so you can't leave the farm. But it's pretty clear that Y2K isn't going to happen. Technology has gotten better, and I think calendars are capable of writing like 2-0 and then 2 more digits without everything blowing up, because that was, people like to think the worst case scenario is going to happen, and they'll just prepare for that, kind of like when Hurricane Sandy came. Y2K was, it's like Hurricane Sandy in the DMV, basically. Like, Hurricane Sandy, we expected Hurricane Sandy in New York, and we got Hurricane Sandy DMV. Y2K is Hurricane Sandy in the DMV. Everybody thought, well, this is the capital of America, so we're important like New York, so we'll probably get their weather. Like, when has a hurricane ever passed through here?
Oh, jeez.
It's because it was on the internet. It was like an internet famous hurricane. Sandy was internet famous. So people weren't used to it. I just got a text from that same guy. No, the different guy. The other same guy. The one that I'm just reading but not responding to. He's my, what's it called? Subplot. But I didn't pursue the subplot, so now it's just a bunch of, hey, how are you feeling? You want to hang out? So, it's a story that never was. But I shan't go into detail because he might watch this. But his English very bad, so. He's one of those people that's so good looking, he doesn't speak English.
That's how it works.
Yeah, nature was like, pick one. I can give you really good looks, but you won't be able to speak American English. That's okay.
So you can speak British
I
English.
look good. Yeah, if you learned English anywhere, it'd probably be British English. Otherwise known as non-American English. Even Canadian people, they don't call that American English. If you're calling it American English, you're probably a Canadian. And confused, and I forgive you, because you're Canadian, so you have, like, my eternal forgiveness no matter what you do. Because what's the worst that could happen? It's not like you're gonna start a war, yeah. They're like, you forget the Battle of Quebec? We fought the war, it's just nobody cared, and nobody really studied it or recorded it, or I don't know, I guess because America was happening and they were just the Hurricane Sandy of the DMV. before the DMV. It's like Canada was the original Washington, D.C. Wow. That sentence made sense, but not really. The more I say it, the more I realize that I should probably go to the hospital. But now I'm afraid I'll call 911. 911, it's your emergency. Okay, so I'm going to apologize in advance because I tend to ramble, but my heart's beating really fast and I might be dying. But I don't think I'm going to die this very second. But I have this habit of doing like this perpetual thing where I get trapped in this cycle where, like, ultimately, I'm going to die eventually. I mean, we're all going to die, but with me, it's like I'm trying to skip forward because I know 3 months from now I'll be suicidal, but it's like I know I'm at the very beginning and they're just like, ugh, send an ambulance. Like, they stop listening. They're like, this lady's probably on drugs or something, and they're already sending like an ambulance. Or worse, cops. Hey, the only thing you can see is like when I'm filming in this room is my desktop. Let me show the world my desktop. Yo, what up, MTV? Welcome to my desktop. It's David Bowie. That's my favorite David Bowie picture. I like it even more than the one that I use for my Facebook thing. In fact, I'm gonna go change my Facebook thing, but I have to turn off this video. Well, I tortured the internet enough, don't you think? And my desktop really isn't that... My desktop is pretty... 2000, like, it's pretty anticlimactic. It's just the videos that are on the internet and the thumbnails, but they're not attached to the videos. It's my channel origins story. That's my desktop. Over a picture of David Bowie. And then I guess my essays. I don't know why I keep thinking I'm gonna write essays. Probably because essays are like the spirituality of writing. They're a cop-out. Yeah. Essays, if I had to, because I want to write about myself, but there's so much to write that I'm like, I'll just write an essay. Now, why would I say something like that? It's because, you know, when you write an essay, I don't have to build a character that's really different from... I'll just write about myself. Like I was watching myself. And on another note, I'm watching myself and my hands are leaving trails. And I know that sounds kind of alarming to you because you're like, whoa, Maya, you're seeing things, but I was always hallucinating. Well, who's hallucinating now, Niles? I'm not going to take an opinion from a man who has his elbow in the butter. Well, who's hallucinating now? He's just slyly. It's its own clip on YouTube. Everybody, stop watching this video and just look for the video of Frasier. I think it's called like the funniest Frasier moment or something like that. It's like something you can't miss. I think I saw it separate from the episode. I didn't see it before I saw the episode because I was born with every episode of Frasier in me.
Injected into your blood.
Yeah, not Cheers. Cheers, I had to sit down and watch it. It was like, Cheers is just Frasier origins. And then like before he showed up, it's like really long context. Like what I was saying earlier with the jokes that are like, they go on for your entire life. That's my life. Cheers. Except there's no live studio audience.
It's probably a good thing.
There's an audience, but they're not live. And I mean, when people say YouTube studio, they just mean your phone. Plus, I'm from New England, so hey. You know, where everybody knows your name. Yeah. Not just Cheers, just New England in general. Because a couple people settled in New England, then most of them left, but a few got left behind. So whatever. And there are like 5 of them. and I know them all. Like, if you're from New England, I've probably met you, unless you're from, like, Boston, which is like the New York of New England. It just means there are too many people. Well, there's a chance I met you if you're from Boston, too. But nowhere cool, just like Chelsea. And the fact that I know anything about the districts of Boston, I mean, that's more than a lot of people can say. Most people, when they think about Boston, they think about, why am I talking about Boston? Oh, but I have to finish that sentence. Yeah, they think about Harvard, right?
I guess.
They think about Boston, or they think about Massachusetts and Boston sort of interchangeably. Like, where else are you going to go in Boston?
Massachusetts?
See, Massachusetts is the state. So you just did it.
What?
People use Boston and Massachusetts pretty interchangeably, because in Boston, it's like the edge of New England. Like, on a scale of, like, some obscure city that's, like, pretty much Canada, Maine, would be, like, 0. Well, Canada would be 0. And then the very edge of that would be, like, 1. And then Boston would be, like, 10. In terms of, like, New Yorkness of the area. New York meaning cool, not, like, dirty, but also, like, low-key dirty, because Boston is... Like, we used to marvel in the fact that the streets are paved with gum. But even then, see, I had that... It's like, I'm sort of insulting you kind of humor. I love Boston. I mean, how can you hate a place where the streets are paved with gum? And since the gum is fresh, it sort of looks like you after you've walked there. So everything, and that's the thing about in England, everything is history. Everything. It's like history never stopped. Like, you still live in a place called New England. It's not really that new anymore. But you can't call it England, because that's already taken. It's like I said in my URL. It's like England was already taken, so you just change the spelling a little bit, but make it the same thing, the same message, basically. I'm pretty sure that's how I got my Instagram. I'm fluent and sarcasm was taken. No surprise there, but I don't think that person used it that much. Or maybe they used it that much, but they weren't as cool. Like, no offense, but England.
Have you checked the person out?
No, but they'd have to compete with me. He was like, you're special.
What? Have you eaten dinner?
Have I eaten dinner? Your dinner. Okay, yeah, see? Stuff like that. Little Freud. That made absolutely no sense. He's not even gonna give me a psychoanalysis. There's nothing to psychoanalyze. Exactly. Your dinner, that doesn't even make sense. You asked me if I ate dinner. What's the response to that? Whether or not I ate dinner. What's dinner?
Like,
You gave me a piece of fruit and I ate it. Is that dinner?
Are you, like, full?
No, but I'm not hungry.
Maybe you should eat a bit more.
Are you sure? I mean, that's kind of like the American philosophy. I'm not hungry, but I could eat.
I don't know. I just feel like...
I mean, I want to say, like, yeah, maybe I should eat, but I'm not really that hungry, but at the same time, it's like, that's also kind of like my motto. I'm not hungry, but I could eat. Because these days I don't really have much of an appetite. But I'm not, like, you see food and you want to vomit full. So I could eat. But I'd rather not. I don't know.
Just try a little bit.
When I think of eating, I think of take my medicine, and I'm all out of medicine. It's just like, oh, surprise, surprise. You hide it so well. You'd be on Watch Mojo, top 10 people you never knew had a mental illness. Maya Mani.
It's a top 10. It's a
Number 1. Maya Mani. We're just trolling, being ironic, of course. Like, if she's known for anything at all, and she's not really known, but if she was, she'd be known for talking about how sick she was. A complainer, if you will.
No.
But she complains in a way very internet.
I don't think that's an adjective.
Like I was saying earlier, it's like Freud. It's just nobody said it before. So I'm just like laying down some groundwork for somebody 100 years from now to make actually good. And you can marvel in it now, because this is all you've got. But really, I'm just setting up a really, really, really funny joke that nobody's going to be alive to hear. You're welcome. And that's how Freud felt when he invented modern psychology.
That it was a joke?
Whoa, you just turned that into a Maya thing. Not that I deserve to be used interchangeably with that girl that I'm going to Google, because saying that girl, that sounds like I'm talking about like Marina Neri, or you're not even like Rihanna status. And I mean, if you're more famous than Rihanna, that's kind of a big deal. Since if Bowie is God, Rihanna's like the demigod. I mean, I'm not sure how the parliament works up there, but I'm pretty sure there's an in-between. But I'm not going to make you Christ, because Christ is kind of a hipster. He'd be a hipster nowadays. He'd be like from Portland. One of those people who gives millennials a bad name.
If you're a hipster, you're from Portland?
Yeah. Because that's where like all the grunge stuff is, right? So ironically, they're like the opposite of that.
Whoa.
Boom. Let's start. That's the origin. Now, everything you do is just gonna be hipster.
It's a nationality.
You're a Starbucks girl, and I'm from Portland. But we can put our differences aside. Those are your wedding vows. They wondered why the priest was the least bit upset. What was I looking? Oh yeah, I was looking at. I knew it had corn in it. Not that your name is bad. It's just I need a mnemonic device when your name's no habla inglés. And I'm not saying that to be Donald Trump, which I use interchangeably with the word racist. I mean, English wasn't invented, so you couldn't even say no habla inglés because there was no Spanish. So you just wouldn't say anything.
Who's the person that you're...
I'm trying to find it, but your name is so close to the word corn that I'm just gonna find, like, the apple of America if the apple of America wasn't apples.
What does the person do?
It's not what she does, it's what she did. Because everything she's done has been lost.
Oh,
Remember?
that one.
Let me see if I can... It was corn is something. Ugh, the baby is... He's like... He's not even stoner comedy. He's like... When you want to, like, kill some brain cells and you don't have anything to drink and you don't have anything to smoke and you turn on a really lame cartoon, that's the level of comedy that baby's at. He's not saying anything. He's not doing anything. Every now and then he gets hurt and it's a little funny, but only in a way that makes you, like, sort of check yourself and, like, oh, look at me, I'm laughing at somebody getting hurt. I mean, it was funny, but still.
Well, like...
And what kind of laugh is that? That's, like, guilty pleasure. He's like ice cream, but not sweet or good.
No, it's just you don't...
Ice cream isn't good.
I bet Kitty's like... He can do funny things, and he laughs at things.
If he does funny things, it's on accident, Caesar.
I feel like he has, like, he's deliberate sometimes, like, with...
Well,
playing toys.
That's probably an accident too. He's an Amani and he's trying, you know, sort of do his own thing, but he really doesn't stand a chance. Because, I mean, if Dorcas and Emmett taught us anything, and if they're watching this, trollolo, it's that even if you're sort of only half an Amani, because the only Amani family that matters is the Amani family that made it, even if you're half that. Wow, I lost that thought. It was like something. We're the superior family.
What?
Yes. Come on. You gotta admit, Dad and Mom are like the dynamic duo, and everybody else is just sort of compared to them. They're like Simon and Garfunkel, but people.
Huh?
Simon and Garfunkel are more akin to a concept.
Oh, I thought
Corny.
you were going to say that they were animals.
What?
Remember? Like in the show? In regular show?
No?
With the episode with the interns? Not interns, they're people who were new and Mordecai and Ruby were going to get fired, so they tried to stop them.
Wait, can you say that again?
It was Chad and Jeremy.
Oh, Chad and Jeremy? No, that's a band also.
That's what I was thinking.
They're not animals though. Just like they're not animals. Animals, not animals. Hell, I should have sang a Chad and Jeremy song, but I only know one, and I forget how it goes.
You know the song, but you forget it.
I apologize, Chad and Jeremy, if you're still alive and watching this video. Probably not. You're most likely dead. In that case, I really apologize, because there's an off chance you might have heard what I said. They're too old to internet, but you know. Oh, I've seen them. They're not cool David Bowie old. They're an old band. They're not trying to be hip old. They're just, it's a fact of life old.
Have you seen the Beach Boys recently?
The Beach Boys?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you have to go visit their graves to see them?
No, they're still alive.
What about Brian Wilson?
Brian Wilson.
He was like schizophrenic, I think. That's the only reason I remember him. I wonder if he was the kazoo guy.
They had, like, a separate kazoo guy.
I call him the kazoo guy because his voice is so identifiable, and it sounds so similar to a kazoo. You know who I'm talking about, if you've heard their stolen music. That it's pretty much, yeah, you take the blues and you put a kazoo over it. That's what it would sound like. Like that kind of thing. Is that really high? Again, I'm hearing myself and I sound mean. And people who don't get the joke that is my life and all the context that I was building, like, I don't know, it's just so British how mean I sound when I'm just trying to communicate.
That's fine, I understand.
You understand, but now that I'm making this a video, I have to keep putting disclaimers. Because everything is mean on the internet.
I really like
Because you read it you read it the way you want to hear it. That's why if you type in all caps, somebody will be like, stop yelling, jeez. It's like, I didn't say anything. Yes, you did. Now you're yelling. See, I'm just typing in a bunch of corn and then something because that sounds old.
Cornelius?
No. Who would name their daughter Cornelius? Somebody who didn't want her to thrive? Then it is her name. No, let's see. Cornelius
Have you seen the UK version of The Office?
Oh, he's some Christian thing. Yeah, the name sounded vaguely familiar, but like I was trying to block it out because he wasn't.
Wait, who?
Cornelius. He's not like Saint Sebastian, which is my way of saying like a religious figure that has any sort of importance. And it's not like Buddha. Which means like a famous religious figure. That doesn't look like he's from Portland.
Oh.
But I digress. Back to corn. Oh, I thought I said Cornelius, but I guess I was just dyslexic.
Mm.
No, it'd be Cornelius. That's what it looks like. But I got closer. No, I'm just blind. That's true. I'm like Velma. My glasses. Except I always know where my glasses are. Just look for that little patch of life that looks really clear. And then there's another one next to it that looks really clear. That's where your glasses are. Cornea? No, nobody named their kid Cornea. Oh, it was something with corn and something with oos. Because I guess that was like the trend with the URLs back then. No, ping pong and table tennis, that's not her. Okay, I'm just gonna type in all her poems are lost and see if I can get that. If it is, then that's her. Her what? What was the joke we were telling this morning? Something Seth Rogen Canada. That's the context. I can't even remember how I started that sentence. What? Oh yeah, if that's what she's famous for, then that's her. What? I don't know. It's her Eric Foreman's attitude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what made Topher Grace famous. Eric Foreman's attitude. It's more famous than Topher Grace. No offense, Topher Grace. You could tell he really tried. You know, life gave him a name, Christopher, and he turned it into Topher. That's like New York thinking, right? Then you live in New Hampshire, so you get some cool points. Because you walk the land I walk.
Oh, of course.
You lived in Nashua. Which is kind of like the Portland / New York / every city that isn't New York of New Hampshire, because that would be Manchester. Not because it's great. No offense, Manchester, but just because it's like old and big.
Oh.
And the name is borrowed. I'm sure Nashua is something, though. Doesn't sound like something you just make up. Nashua. Makes me think of race cars.
Like NASCAR?
NASCAR, that's what I'm thinking of. Oh, poor Nashua. I just tell people I'm from New York then. Which sounds like the spirituality of places to be from, because it sounds like a cop out. Where are you from? New York. New York State, New York City. New York, New York.
Fine, if you
Most places you can just say, where are you from? I'm from DC. If you live like within 1,000,000 miles of DC. I'm from DC. You're in Virginia. I'm from DC. You ever heard of it? Yeah, I've heard of it. I was being sarcastic. Yeah. See, I shouldn't even be saying like DC is like this area's New York. But let's face it, it is. But at the same time, it's like, come on. If any place would be anywhere, wouldn't New York be the DC, the de facto DC? Because it's cool like a capital, but it's not the capital. Not on paper. George Washington lived there, though.
Where?
New York.
Oh yeah.
Donald Trump lives here.
Okay.
George Washington lives there. So both places are screwed, haha. No, I'm trying to write all her. All I've written is all. All her. I don't want to write all her work, because that sounds like it could be a lot of people who are just really sad. All her work was lost. It fell in the shredder. All her poems. My keyboard is broken. So, yeah, if you're watching this and you're not related to me, that way it can't be used against me in court, feel free to click on any ads you see. I don't know how, but I might get money. I kind of gave up on it. Not because I'm lazy, it got so complicated, and it was such a little money, and I always ended up giving it away. Because people would come to me when I'm at like a vulnerable state, like how I am right now. Like if you probably ask for money, I'd probably just give it to you and keep talking. It's probably why I don't have any money in my bank account right now. But yeah. What was I talking about?
About giving up, about making money.
Yeah. So if you give me the money, I won't literally, but figuratively drink it. I'm not an alcoholic, so I had to say it in a way that didn't make it sound like it was a play on words. I'd meza it more than I'd drink it. I'd table it. See, that joke only works if you speak a bunch of languages. What did I call that? Mandarin.
Oh.
Mandarin homophones. First you have to learn Mandarin, then come back, and then you'll get the joke and you'll laugh. So 20 years later, I get it. Then you can go on with your life.
Oh.
And that's why I said my life is like that. Let me see. All her poems, Maya Angelou, all her poems. Yeah, I was named in Sanskrit because Sanskrit, I know, it's kind of a Jesus of a language. It's pretty Portland. As far as languages go, I mean, if Latin is like New York, Sanskrit, I mean, it's not LA, but, I mean, it's freaking Sanskrit. I think what confirmed the password of, like, my name is that Maya Angelou was beloved by both of our parents, and consequently me, because, I don't know, I guess by association. When you're a kid, just, oh, he has my name, huh? We have that in common. I didn't even really understand her poems. I had to go back and reread them all, and it's like, oh, that's brilliant. Well, of course it is. It's not like she's some obscure person. People are naming their kids after her, low key. But then the cop-out is the spiritual meaning. Your name means illusion, which means we low-key knew you were gonna suffer a life of hallucinations. I mean, Maya Angelou. It could go either way. When I was a baby, they were probably like, it could go either way. If she ends up really poetic but not crazy, we'll tell her it's Maya Angelou. And if she ends up really crazy but is still sort of creative, we'll still tell her Maya Angelou, but, you know, wink wink.
I don't know.
If she asks, we'll have to tell her. Which I did, and they did, but, I mean, when I was 4, they just said, you're named after Maya Angelou. It just got me into reading Maya Angelou. Promo. All her poems, that's all I wrote. All her poems were false. No. Lost. Let's see. What do I get? Emily Dickinson. No. You can tell it's not her because I know who she is.
Maybe.
And her name doesn't have corn in it.
Like, remember in Arthur when they said if you put quotes around it, it will only show stuff with that exact thing?
Oh. No, I was checking to see if it was her Topher Grace, remember?
Oh.
If that was what made her the most famous.
Oh.
If that was her Let's Dance album.
Losing your
No,
stuff?
that's what that would... She'd be Let's Dancing it because she probably wouldn't like it.
Oh, okay.
But no, Let's Dance is like if you need to pay the rent.
Pay the rent by destroying your stuff?
You pay the rent by doing something you didn't really want to do, but, you know, you're a dad now and you gotta feed your kid. And you want to have another child, so I need to eat. If we weren't losing our money, we were getting ripped off by someone. It's like, what? Who would take advantage of you when they could just take you?
Huh?
You're freaking talented. It's not like some people who will, like a person who's really unattractive will like, I'll make you a model if you just give us $1 million, like all that stuff. No, it's like somebody running that kind of scam, and then somebody who looks like Naomi Campbell comes in. All right, I'm ready. All right, let's scam you and be done. Alright. Then you lose your money and you go on to be really famous. See, I just clicked on the first thing, ancient Greek gods flashcards, because you know how I don't play video games anymore, but you know how, like, maybe in Mario Kart, like how, you know, it's like there's the 2-player version and you can watch 2 screens?
Yeah.
That's like my mind. Except it's like that, except like player 1 and player 2 are like thoughts, and like one thought, like if I was just to like say what I'm observing, one thought is thinking, holy crap, I've been talking for like over an hour straight and I'm like really quiet. I'm like Ziza quiet before Ziza was Ziza. So I sort of Freuded that. Another thought is thinking, you sort of just got lost in the sentence there and you forgot what you were talking about. But then another thought is thinking, that's sort of the same thought. And then another one's thinking, you were looking at what? So I turn back and I see Homer, haha.
Wait, but what about...
Because he's famous for being one of the most smartest people who invented this school of thought. Ouch. Especially considering his dad's name was just Homer. So, I guess I've made so many inside jokes that what would that one be? Would that be another German one? Or would that just be irony?
Yeah, because it's Homer, but...
The fact that on a scale of Homer to Homer, how smart was this guy?
He was a Homer level.
He was a Homer Simpson. Oh, that bad, huh? No, he was a Homer. No, he was a Homer the first one. Mario Party 2. He was Sonic the Hedgehog the first one. He was Homer the first one. You don't have to say the first one after it. How are they gonna know it's the first? It's not written on the cartridge.
Oh.
That shut him up like a slap to the face. I know, because I slapped him in the face.
Oh.
Every time he does something that's sort of cool, and no offense, because I really, like, as far as people go, Nathan, I, like, love him as much as you can love a person without it being, like, in your family. And he would be family if it weren't for the fact that, like, when I was 4, I was like, I'm gonna marry Nathan. Because I was like, he's a boy and I'm a girl, and that's what I've noticed a lot of boys and girls do. So I guess you're not in my family anymore. But if we were to get married, you'd be family. But that's besides the point. That's just gonna weird Nathan out if he sees this. What was I saying? Oh yeah, whenever he does something really cool, I just think of that time I hit him and he cried, and it went down in Amani family history because although I was the only witness, the story sort of snowballed into its own thing. Because when I hit him, I heard it, and then he started looking up and stuff, and he started turning red, and it started turning into its own thing of crying, and then to shorten crying, we would just say, and it would just make the sound, and you didn't get hit, so somebody would say something, man, is that what you're going in? You're going just like that? Oh, no, looking up. I mean, I was just trying on outfits and testing out the door. I wasn't really gonna go in this. And then you leave. And then that got so exaggerated that it was like something flies by, you dodge it. What was that? Oh, somebody else just got shortened. That's true. That's the origin. That's the cheers of that. That's where it first appeared. It's like sort of grown into its own entity without really mentioning where it came from.
Like most kids?
No, like Frasier.
Oh, okay.
Like most kids isn't a joke. All her poems were lost. Wiki. How many famous people are famous without actually having any proof of being famous? Again, list of Emily Dickinson poems. Let me see. Cat 2 list, that sort of sounds like it. Poetry. And the Roman public. I can't read because words aren't words today. But I know if I see the word corn, I'm on the right lady. Besides, there were only like 5 people back then. Yeah, once you know some people, you know them all. I mean, back then, there weren't that many famous people. There was no like whosdatedwho.com. It's a website dedicated to celebrities and who they've mingled with. Not who they've dated, just who they've like met.
Okay.
Yes, I'm saying they've had an encounter. Justin Bieber had an encounter with this girl who was in her video. It's like, did he really? He met the girl in his own video? Whoa. Yeah, they didn't have that back then. Bless them. But then they didn't have YouTube, so I guess that balances it out. Who's Dated Who was the YouTube before YouTube. Because when YouTube first started, it wasn't YouTube. It was just that Numa website with Mario jumping over the friggin' flagpole. Yeah, that's what I thought of it as. It's the website you go to see that video. There was a time where everybody only knew like one video. It was like the I want a double cheeseburger, hold the lettuce. That was Eddie's one. Moria's one was Mario jumping over the flagpole. Mine and probably the rest of the entire decades was just that Numa Romanian song, whose only lyrics I know because that's how you spell out the title. I don't know any other word except probably frustrador that I say, and it's just a coincidence. I think it's Romanian. Is that what they call the language?
And then, wait, what does Numa even mean?
I don't know. Do you want to find out? Because it's the 21st century. People used to dream of, like, what does that mean? I don't know. You want to find out? Give me a second. Bleep, bloop, blop. You're in the Twilight Zone. Oh, I enter Numa. What do you know? That video. And then the second is Numa video. And then Glaustia din Tai, or whatever. I don't know why I get my German-French accent whenever I read a foreign language. I guess because German-French equals foreign. If you're not Canadian. Like, you're legit foreign. Not the quickest phone of being foreign. Being from Canada. Even though Canada's like the America of Canada and Mexico. It's the America of our neighbors. Except they don't have Donald Trump, so. Oh no, Canada's winning.
What?
Quick, say something patriotic.
Loving apple pie?
Something Adam Sandler. Yeah.
That's patriotic.
It's patriotic because I was in the same class as his freaking nephew. He'd walk by, and it wasn't until the end when I couldn't even really get a good look at him that somebody said, "He's Adam Sandler's nephew, you know?" I was like, "Adam Sandler? You mean the Adam Sandler everybody's talking about? That's your uncle?" And like once he was like, "Yeah. What's your last name, Sandler?" "Oh. Okay, I believe you then." "You mean Adam Sandler comes to visit?" "Yeah, do you want to meet him?" "Not really, I mean." He would just be another grown-up back then. Even though back then I was into like theater and stuff. But I don't know. Everything's pretty laid back there in New England. It's a New York, but like spread out, but not Los Angeles. Not like that chill. It still has some uptight left from the people who started it, but they can't help that. Not with a name like New England. Manchester, New England. Like, Beatlemania. I forgive the British because they gave us Beatlemania, but they started out with some lousy stuff like New England. Like, even if you're from England, It's like those people who draw the sun in the corner by putting a little line like that instead of an actual circle for the sun. Yeah, that's the spirituality of writing, of drawing suns. Doing that in the corner. That's how the British were when they started. Then, now they're like people, so. Now they're like a real, just any drawing. But before, no, they were Puritans. They weren't people. They were like, we're gonna steal your land. But first, we want you to change the way you dress and think. Really? Well, I mean, we're gonna kill you anyway, but we'd rather you change the way you thought. And worshipped our God. I mean, who knows where we came from. But, see? It sounds like I'm being mean to Britain, but I'm really just being British. Because British equals mean. In the running gag that is this, all these years I haven't been talking. Because of Simon Cowell and the newly added Gordon Ramsay. And none of them are mean. It's just your inflection. Not even so much your accent, really. Because when I think of British accents, I think of roast with potato. Because Titanic is so old. It might as well have come out when I was born. Like, I was already born, but I was so young. It was like, might as well have been you in the new millennium. It was just sort of always there. Ziza wants me to get like game over on all of these word games, like the wordplay, the scary screen that Moore is afraid of. Okay, I've been looking at a page that says Numa Numa for a long time now, and that's the only reason I remember what we were talking about. Well, that's because I can't find what it translates to. Unless you literally wanted to translate to, oh god, Ziza, you know I have PTSD, how could you? How could you make me look up something that would remind me of Maya, Maya, it's you! Everybody thought that was funny. Including you. And me, like, the first time. Sort of, not really. I was like, oh, what a coincidence. Some people from another planet, because they don't speak English, so I don't know where they're from, know my name. Sort of, but not really. They just sort of said it. And I kind of thought the guy in the video was the one who was singing the song. I don't know. I guess I didn't think about it enough for it all to process that it's an actual single. And, you know, people have to work really hard before they make it in America. Because in the America that is the world, America's the New York. It's like, if I can make it in America, I can make it anywhere. And then New York is like America squared. If I can make it in New York, I can make it anywhere in America. What was I talking about? Are you asleep? Bless you if you're asleep. That means I can end this video and go back to talking to myself instead of torturing people and bringing them a joke that they wouldn't get because I started telling it this morning. But like Homer Simpson to Homer, the first one, it's a Homer Simpson. Now, I can't remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like not funny. Oh, like the level of PTSD. Like, if I was Homer, the actual philosopher, and Homer Simpson is like Homer Simpson, levels of intelligence, yeah, that is like how sick I am. I'd be like the Homer of being sick, and then this would be the Homer Simpson. It'd be like 0, but just a little bit. That's how little it would trigger my PTSD, but still, Nobody likes to hear their name when nobody's talking about them. It's just, some people really don't understand the struggle that it is to have a name, because you always have your name your whole life. But when your name has, and now I'm just saying this to say it, I don't know who I'm saying it to. Oh, look, I'm still recording. Because I already know this, but if your name is like my name and has the word my in it, like how I just said my, it sounds like I'm going to say my name. So I guess my first ever palpitations, I didn't even know what they were. I thought they were just like my heart started beating fast. That's what I would say. But looking back, there were palpitations every time somebody said the word my. And you know how often people say the word my? That's why I changed my name. Like, I couldn't even make it 20 years. When I was a teenager, I changed my name because I got tired of people like saying Maya. And they're like, oh, that's a beautiful name. Yeah, but people say my all the time. And I always thought people were calling me. So when most people who grew up with me, like speaking French and stuff, they'll call me Maya because phonetically that word doesn't come up much. But to like an entire Futurama is to the Simpsons world of people, that's how detached they are. Like, you may have met cross worlds once and that's it. I have a completely different name. And 200 points to Gryffindor, if you know what it is. But I kind of don't want to go back there, even though the name was probably the most exotic name ever, because it was literally made up. Till I googled it and found out it was a word, and I was like, it would be, just like Fustador. It sounds like a word, because I follow the laws of wording. What am I'm just staring at something that says Numa Numa. Like, I don't care what it says. Ziza wanted to know, and I rambled so long that she literally fell asleep. Literally. Like, you guys don't get the reference, but okay, now I'm gonna sit here and explain every joke because nobody's here to laugh at my jokes. Ziza is asleep. But my little brother said literally, like, literally. And to this day, I still make fun of him for it. He's like a teenager, and he said it like that when he was 3. But I have this habit of not letting things go and remembering things like the time that you know who stole somebody's mine pacifier, and then bringing it up and using it in arguments. Not to spite them, just to be funny. Like, you still remember that? But because Maury is kind of Eric Foreman triggered. Not triggered. I'm reading this. He's twitchy. But Eric Foreman, it's an endearing kind of thing. That is after they invented Eric Foreman. He was probably a composite of the dude who wrote that 70s show, because it's based off his life. Why am I talking about that 70s show? Oh yeah, because I was thinking about Topher Grace, because he lived in Nashua. And earlier I was talking about Nashua, I don't know. And I was saying it was like the something of New England or Manchester. Oh well, it might as well be. I don't know what I said it was, but it's kind of like, sort of like London, because it's sort of like Greater Manchester. But it's like a, the theme of the day is sort of in wordplay today. So I'm just like pointing out all the wordplay there is in like life. Like, I come from Manchester, New England. That sounds like the people who started this country were making a joke. But it was like a really, really long joke. And it's like, you wait a few hundred years and it's like, I'm having a conversation with people and I'm trying to explain to them, not in English, that I come from a place called New England and the city's called Manchester. And they're trying to show it to me. This is so Manchester. And it's like, no, not Manchester, the first one, Mario Party 1. We're the Mario Party 2. But a place. but I wouldn't say that. I would say something that sounded like something a normal person would say. I would say, no, I would just say the people that came over were surprisingly, uncharacteristically, some might say, for British people, very uncreative. And they just sort of put a placeholder name, and I guess on a technicality, it stuck. So, New England is not really a New England. Just like Newfoundland, it's not exactly Newfoundland anymore. But that's the URL you have chosen. And they didn't really realize that because they had no concept of once you choose your URL, it's sort of part of your identity. And why am I talking about URL? But yeah. Guys, I hate my life and I'm suffering. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I don't like what's going on. Ugh. It reminds me of when at least if I was like on drugs or something, I know it would end, and I know it can end, because that's how being bipolar works. It's episodic, and I'm trying to think mathematically and logically and say, you know, x equals this, y equals this. This is going to end because everything has a beginning and an end, and not think thoughts like, this isn't going to end because I'm never going to die because soup and I'm always hungry. But thoughts like that, like that's what's really trying to govern my mind, and it's like tiny bit of me sort of knows how to speak sometimes. And then the gibberish that comes out, people sort of just hear what they want to hear, and then it's sort of like that Louie Louie song, and people just sort of, you don't know what they're saying, but sort of make something out of it. You're all artists. Good on you. You're all British people who didn't invent New England, like creative British people. Too late, Maya. I'm triggered. You won't share your music. I don't know why, but that just gave me palpitations, so now I'm triggered, but I'm not going to say that, because that sounds triggering and ironic, but not in a way that'd be consistent with the theme of the day, which is wordplay. It just sounds like a dark coincidence. I don't know. Oh, I should probably say something I've been trying to say, but I didn't want to say it in a specific answer on my Tumblr like questions, because I get so many questions. I don't think you guys realize. I don't even, like, I used to be able to answer every question, but I mean, guys, some of these questions repeat. So it's like, if you anonymously ask me something, and then somebody else anonymously asks me the same question, then it's like, do I really have to answer the same question anonymously twice? Like, if you ask me something personally and I answered it personally to you, it'd be different. But if I already answered the same question multiple times, I don't know. I wouldn't want that on my dashboard. Ugh. I don't know. I don't like my voice. I don't like hearing myself talk about myself on social media, because then I feel like I've fallen into the sea of internet fame, and I can't swim, so I tend to stay away from the, what the hell am I talking about? Something, oh yeah, I was saying, that's a really crappy disclaimer. No, I was saying I get a lot of questions, that's what I was saying, and I can't answer all of them. And I shan't answer all of them. It's just, wow, I forget what it's called. I just died for a moment. My page, I guess. My profile? Is that what it is? I'm going through like 3 languages trying to figure out what it's called. But you know what I'm talking about. My page, my Tumblr page, my Tumblr profile, whatever. would be a lot of the same questions and the same answers, because the answers aren't going to change to some of these questions. It's not like you're asking me how I'm feeling. You're asking me, like, what were the early signs of your schizophrenia? And I don't want to sound like some person who was famous on the internet in 2012 and say, oh, look in my FAQ. Or, I said it in a video at this 55 minutes or something. Oh, it's been like an hour and 20 minutes. If you find that obscure video, you'll see that I said it once and you're part of my fandom, wiki, whatever. God, I'm lost in the forest that is my vocabulary. I need to get back in school because I don't know how to English anymore. When I think of going to school, I think of French anyway. Because everything I learned that was in English was self-taught. Because in school we spoke French. English was our, like, Spanish. It was our cool language that we spoke to make fun of people in, which is how I know people talk about me in Spanish. Because I talk about people in English whenever I'm in non-English speaking countries. Except for Canada, because, I mean, there's really nothing to say. No offense. It's a compliment, but it sounds like an insult because of my inflection. Which also sounds like an insult to British people because I said my inflection is British. That's because I was making a joke about Hugh Laurie earlier. But I'd have to tell you a really long story about the girl who I used to said, oh, I had a huge crush on her. Using, like, the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Chloe Moretz or whatever. Chloe Grace Moretz? I think that's what it is. She was in, like, a really crappy version of Carrie, I hear. And just another example of how I, like, fall for people and then I really don't want to see them ever again. But, yeah. She's like the Hugh Laurie. She's the Dr. House. But, like, the inverted version, because she's like this little girl. And she's not British, obviously, if you heard her speak. But when she auditioned for, like, Hugo... my fan is showing, but, like, it's true. When she auditioned for Hugo, she lied and said that she was British. And I think the director was Tim Burton. Now I have to check, because when you put something on the internet, it's forever. So, pretty sure it is, but it's like when you're taking a test. It's like 2 times 2 is 4, but I'm going to use my calculator just to be sure. But the movie was Hugo. I know the movie was Hugo. And she pulled a Mila Kunis, so to speak, which is sort of like Mila Kunis. To pull a Mila Kunis would be its own wiki. It just means basically to lie. Because she lied about her being emancipated or her age. See it on that 70s show? Oh, it's Martin Scorsese. Whoa, that's like not Tim Burton at all. He's like... No, he's Martin Scorsese. He's his own person. It's like Billy Zane versus Leonardo DiCaprio. Except they've worked together, haven't they? So then it's not like that. It's like Leonardo DiCaprio and, I don't know, somebody who Leonardo DiCaprio hasn't worked with. I don't know who he hasn't worked with, because he's worked with a lot of people. And a lot of people have taken awards for stuff that Leonardo DiCaprio did. But I don't have to tell you that. His award shelf speaks for itself with all of those Oscar that he won. Last time I checked. He was an example. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying earlier today. I was saying if it's an example, that's really a bad thing. If people use you as an example, like, don't get down in the dumps. Leonardo DiCaprio never won an Oscar. Like, you're an example. Or like Oprah Winfrey, she wasn't popular. She had to really fight to get her show or something, whatever. Or a lot of people like to throw around Marilyn Monroe. Like, they said she was really curvy, even though she was skinnier than I am, and I can't even think of a funny reference. I'm just straight up like skinny. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But yeah, Chloe Grace Moretz. A few years ago, I started a sentence and I was, yeah, she lied about getting on a show with Martin Scorsese, the movie with Martin Scorsese. And I realize I'm saying nothing, but bear with me here because I'm sort of like dedicated to this sentence because I've been